Hello and welcome to the new series of Drishti IAS. I am Pooja Divedi, and in this segment today we are going to discuss about the NFHS number 5, National Family Health Survey number 5. This has brought some radical revelations. We are going to talk about that. So it is important from the perspective of prelims. You have to be very careful with the terminologies for prelims, plus the data and certain other schemes that the government has undertaken. Okay, for mains perspective, build an opinion with the help of this segment and enrich your opinion with the help of the data provided. And if you write that, of course, you will get more marks. You will be able to fetch more marks if you have provided data. Data is important. Again, by clearing your concept with certain terminologies, you will be able to get a more clear picture. So just don't listen, try to understand as well. And I will try to make it as brief as possible. But if it goes beyond your definition of brief, it will be very useful even then. Let's begin. And as we begin, just understand the importance from the different perspective of mains papers. I hope you are just going through the syllabus as well, because then only you will be able to relate it. As we are going to talk about National Family Health Survey and in the terminologies and the sex ratio, why the sex ratio has increased or decreased, bettered, or it has worsened. So you have to understand everything from the perspective of GS mains paper 2, 4 and also 3. 3 is the primary, if we talk about the GS mains paper, whichever is concerned with it. So it's that. And then of course we are going to provide you with many important other data. And National Family Health Survey, the data has been into the picture now, and it was released recently, which has painted a pretty good picture. The good picture is that for the first time ever, we are seeing that the sex ratio is in the favor of women. There are 1,020 women now as per 1,000 men. We will discuss more about that. Also, India has actually, it may have peaked its population, and it's no longer can be considered a country that is getting younger. It is still a young country from the mean age or the median age we call. It is still 24 according to the 2011 census. But now as we see, if we compare the two datas of 2005-6 to 2019-2020, there has been a gap between the number of children below the age of 15 years, that was 34.9% in 2005 and 6. Now it has become 26.5%. So we are seeing that India is no longer becoming younger. India as now has started in certain states, in the southern states, in the state of Sikkim, it has started aging like China is aging right now. So that is another thing. Also, India will not see a population explosion. All these three revelations have come with the help of NFHS. Now, before we begin with the highlights of the NFHS, please understand the importance of learning certain keywords. First is total fertility rate, which is the average number of children expected to be reproduced by a woman in the time span of her reproductive years. If you know what are the reproductive years, kindly comment in the comment segments. That is why I haven't written, because you have to listen to me very actively, keep on engaged with me and not just keep on hearing it. Try to participate, okay? First is that. What is the replacement level? Replacement level means the number of children that are born to a set of parents, and that is important to replace them. That means if this is a pair and it reproduces 2 children, okay, so the replacement level will become stable. It will be as same. That means when the parents might die, the children will take their place, and then further and so on. If a set of parents, they give birth to 5 children, if we talk about the replacement level, it will become high. If they give birth to just 1 child or no child at all, then it will be low. What is that? Gender ratio. Gender ratio is important from the perspective of understanding everything with respect to reproduction pattern. So gender ratio is the ratio of males to females. That means it is a male-centric ratio. In a population, we have to search for the proportion of males. What is stunting? This is in respect to nutrition. Stunting means low height for age. A person might be 25, a child might be 10 years of age, but only 3 feet 2 inches or like that. So that becomes necessary that the nutrition is not a lot. And what is wasting? That means weight is less for height. Height is a lot, but weight is not that. That means either some disease is there or the child is not getting the proper nutrition. Moving on, if we talk about the next concept, that is overweight. That is the condition of having a lot of body fat, which is not healthy in nature, as it is related to many non-communicable diseases, lifestyle diseases, lack of exercise and overeating, and also eating the unnecessary stuff might, of course, give a rise to overweight. What is anemia? It is a condition in which the red blood cell number is not according to the necessary amount, because red blood cells carry oxygen. If a person is anemic, the body will be lacking oxygen, and India is suffering a lot. So moving forward, if we talk about NFHS, this NFHS, if we talk about, has been conducted in two phases, phase 1 and phase 2. And it covered the period from 2019 to 2021. It has been delayed because of the pandemic, of course. In 2019, it was the phase 1. Okay. So in phase 1, 22 states and union territories were covered. In the second phase, the rest of the states and union territories were covered. So in phase 1, the data came out in December 2020 itself, and the remaining amount of data has come out by this 24th of November. What is the coverage? Coverage is such that it covered 707 districts, 650,000 households, 720,000 women, and just above 1 lakh men. And it, of course, was pan-India. And the coverage has helped a lot to understand what is the purpose of it. The key indicators, which include population, family planning, if the initiatives are working or not, what is the status of child and maternal health, what is important for nutrition, and what government schemes and policy making should be there for adult health, domestic violence, and many other. So apart from just nutrition and population and family planning, it has taken many new set of highlights into the picture. We will talk about that as well, as NFHS is expanding its ambit in many areas. For the first time ever, NFHS was conducted in the year 1992-93. Then after that, NFHS 2, 1998, 1999. 1, 2. Then third one was conducted in 2005-2006. Then next one, 2015-2016. And the next one, that is NFHS 5, 2019-21. Okay. And what are the positives and negatives? We will discuss about all that. Data is important, remember. So this is the first time in any NFHS or census that the sex ratio has favored women. It is skewed in favor of women. It is inclining towards women. And birth and institutional facilities has also increased. That means maternal health is now on the cards. And that is improving nearly by 8% points. India has also officially hit a total fertility rate of 2.0. I hope I covered total fertility rate. You understand that the number of children that are to be born to a woman in the time span of her reproductive years. Okay. And that indicates a decrease, which is a decrease from NFHS 4, that was 2.2. That means more children were being born before, if we talk about NFHS 4, 2015-16, than now. And all 14 states and union territories ranging from 1.4 in Chandigarh to 2.4 in Uttar Pradesh. This is for the next phase, next batch of the 22, phase 1, the next batch in that consisted of the rest of the 14. So the fertility rate of Chandigarh is very less, and it's in Uttar Pradesh, it is at least greater than the national average right now. The urban TFR is less, and the rural one is 2.1, still decreasing. Use of contraceptives has, of course, because of that, it has been achieved, and that has improved from 53.5% to 66.7%. I'm moving away so you can see the data, okay? That is in the latest NFHS. Also, if we talk about the proportion of children from 12 to 23 months who were fully vaccinated, this has improved 62% to 76%. Children under 6 months who were exclusively breastfed for increasing nutrition, they also showed a sharp rise or improvement from 54.9% to 63.7%. And although there has been a slow and steady, but there is an improvement in stunting. So stunting is low height for age, remember. Okay, let's move on to the negatives. What are the negatives of it? Negatives highlighted in the NFHS. See, NFHS is very comprehensive, but here we have tried to make it as brief as possible. I cannot, or you also won't be interested in a 2-hour class just talking about NFHS. This is the best we can have in the amount of time that we have. Okay, so more than half of Indian children and women, including pregnant women, are anemic. That means they don't have enough red blood cells in their body to carry oxygen to their body. And the proportion of anemic children is 5 to 59 months. That has increased from 58% to 67%. Anemia or anemic people, this, if we talk about the current NFHS, are found in Ladakh. Hefty amount, that too. Okay. Women aged from 15 to 49 who were anemic increased from 53% to 57% in the reproductive years. These are the reproductive years. Men of the same age increased from 29% to 31% between both the additions of NFHS. Anemia, big problem. The change in nutrition is also not significant. Many are undernourished. Chronic undernutrition, that means deep-rooted undernutrition, which may have arisen from a lot of reasons, especially poverty and not having the balanced diet. It has come down 38.4% to 35.5%, but still chronic is there. Increase of those in overweight. Okay, so the people who are overweight, they are not writing the balanced diet. They are losing their minds when we talk about exercising. They are not very devoted to exercising because of the lifestyle habits that we are living in an era of desk job. So exercising is not something that can be managed throughout the day. But still, because of an unbalanced diet or junk food, we are seeing this. The very large burden of non-communicable disease such as cancer and diabetes, and the very challenging findings on the waist to hip ratio that will give rise to more challenges with the diseases in the abdomen. That is 56.7% of women and 47.7% of men. They have high risk weight to hip ratio. Okay, and then the new dimensions where the NFHS number 5 has ventured into is death registration and preschool education. It has expanded domains of child immunization, components of micronutrients to children. That means it is becoming more comprehensive day by day. You have more to cover in the terms of syllabus now. So, menstrual hygiene, frequency of alcohol and tobacco use, additional components of non-communicable diseases, that is hypertension and diabetes. Among all aged 15 years and above, this has also taken into consideration. So, as you can see, it is expanding its limits so that more better policy making can be coming into the picture in the coming era. Okay, and this is the chart that is going to show you. This has been taken from the Hindu, and this is the indicators. So we are going to cover some indicators. Child aged 6 to 59 months who are anemic. Okay, in 2019 to 67.1%. It was less in the year 2015-16. And it was greater in the year 2005 and 6. That means whatever was achieved has been undone. Then children who are under 5 and wasted, 19.3% in 1920. 21, it has of course decreased, but not a lot, not very significant. Children under 5 who are severely wasted, same issue, not a lot, not a very significant monitoring as we see. Now, let's move on and talk about the background. Background in the sense here, first we have to discuss about this entire segment is actually discussed from the perspective of gender equity, from the perspective of celebrating the, we can say, the favorable sex ratio, which is skewed in favor of women right now because of the reasons that I'm going to cite over here. That Professor Amartya Kumar Sen, he said about the gender imbalance of Southeast Asia, which also included India, that there are missing women. Missing women exist, and in 1990s, there were approximately 930 women per 1000. Please get it corrected if I'm wrong, but it's approximately 927 women in 1919. So first we have to understand that in his famous article Missing Women, he statistically, that means there were statistics to prove that during the last century 100 million women were missing in South Asia. The discrimination that used to follow them from womb to tomb, this term was used, which was very deep in nature. Again, distortion in the marriage system was there. So marriage system was such that child brides were married to grown men. So of course child brides, they had more expansion of their fertility years, and that is why their health was not considered. The fertility rate was not given that much of importance. Every woman from the very beginning was just exploited just for marriage and baby making machine. Let's move forward and talk about the sex ratio. As you can see in this graph, how poor it was. That is why missing women, it was used, the term. Now, if we talk about the current scenario, India has now 1020 women for every 1000 men. In NFHS 3, it was 1000 to 1000. That was equal. Now, in 2015-16 NFHS 4, it was 991 to 1000. Okay. So we can understand the importance of the celebration that we are doing right now. But one thing to keep in mind is that the gender ratio at birth for children born in the last 5 years is still 929. That means if we talk about at birth, in the last 5 years, 929 girls were born out of 1000 males. Okay, total at every 1000 male child born, we had 929 women. And why, you can understand what is the gap between these. That there are certain issues with respect to the technologies that have come into the picture for sex selection. There are various macabre and clandestine means to find out the sex of the baby when the baby is in the womb, and then we have female infanticide. Because of that, we have sex selection procedures to be conducted and very secrecy. So that might be one of the reasons. Secondly, women tend to live longer than men in India. So if we talk about at birth, a male child will have 66 years of life expectation. Women at the time of birth will have 69 years of age. So you can understand, for every one man, 4 women will live longer. So that is why there is this gap at birth. And right now, if we talk about the current gender ratio, alright, sex ratio. Alright, so let's move on and talk about why has it happened. There are many reasons. First might be that empowerment has been done through education. Beti Padhao and Beti Bachao Andolan that has begun. It has brought behavioral changes and the importance of education for women, which has made them financially independent. Women are becoming more bolder to go out in the market and talk about importance of education. They are becoming bolder to get into the workforce. They are completing 10 years of schooling if we compare them to the last NFHS. So there are so many reasons. And we have also been able to curb sex selection practices through proper acts. We will discuss about the act as well. And policy backing and support. There are so many policies that are encouraging the empowerment of women. That has brought a systematic psychological change as well when we talk about the scenario of women in the current picture. Let's move forward and talk about why are there still challenges that still remain. Because there is still some meta preference that is lingering, not in the dark, out in the open. That why a family should be male dominated, why a family should have more sons over daughter. And the problem is much chronic in the higher strata of the society, when it was thought about that more richness, or a person, if he or she becomes richer and richer, they will have preference to girl child. They will be favorable towards girl child. It is not happening actually, because they have a mindset which is not from the poverty of money, or not from the economic status, but the mindset by which or through which they have been brought out. Then misuse of technology. There are still certain cheaper mechanics or technology that can be used to find out the sex of the baby, and failure in implementation of the law with respect to this, that is the Prenatal Conception and Prenatal Determination Act of 1994, that prohibits the knowledge of the sex of the child into the mother's womb. And there was also one proper recommendation that was given by an organization to bring ultrasound machine under the Drugs and Cosmetics Act, so that proper recognition and regulation of those machinery can take place. Reports have found major gaps in the training of the personnel who are implementing the act. How should the procedure be going so that sex is not known to the parents? Okay, that is actually not happening. And there is a counter effect of rise in income. Counter effect means the higher the income, as I told you, the more son preference will be there, so that the business can go forward without any issue. This is what their mindset is, not mine. So there are certain government initiatives that have been undertaken. Beti Bachao Beti Padhao Andolan, benefits of it, behavioral change, that the government is saying we have to save the girl child, we have to educate her so that she doesn't, this entire hypothesis, I can say, of girls being burdened is self-built. It's not as such. Every girl will be able to do the similar amount of work a boy can do. So we cannot discriminate against them, right? So Beti Bachao Beti Padhao Andolan has given a lot of impetus to that. Maternity Benefit Act of 1961 has regulated employment of women in certain establishments for a certain period, and that is basically to take care of the women throughout the period. Even if they are employed, they should not be discriminated against. We cannot say, okay, a woman who is carrying will not be able to do the amount of work a man can do in the same amount of time. So in order to safeguard a woman's right to become a mother, that is happening. And the sexual harassment of women at workplace of 2013, this has given rise in the confidence when we talk about women staying late at work and they are feeling safe at workplace so that they can be more financially empowered. Moving on, if we talk about other initiatives, it can be Working Women's Hostel for safe accommodation for women, and support to training and employment program for women so that microfinance could be provided to poorer women for living out their life. We also have Rashtriya Mahila Kosh, again to help and empower women financially, and National Mission for Empowerment of Women. These are very important. Do know about them from the perspective of mains answer writing. Let's move forward and talk about the conclusion. First conclusion is that female education and economic prosperity is a must. If a woman is able to take care of herself financially, she is empowered. She won't be dependent on any other person, not a man, any other person, because of course financial dependence is something which is proportional to domestic violence. A woman, if not able to earn by herself, is left at the mercy of some male guardian. It can be her father, her brother, her son, her whatever. So if a section of the population such as females, if they are empowered, they won't be vulnerable to exploitation. Sensitization towards women and children should increase. They should not be painted out as the weaker sex, as even in the Bollywood and Hollywood films of the last decade, we see the vulnerabilization of women and putting them into a more sensitive picture so that they can be projected as the weaker sex, and of course that has been entrenched in the minds of the yesteryear's population, we can say. Making women safety cells so that they can feel safe, and ensuring the safety of women on public transport system. Cybercrime cells should be made. The procedure should be women-centric. It should not be women bashing. Also, improving women's status in the society. How? Economic, political, social, cultural integration. Everything is important. Multi-pronged approach is needed. Reaching out to young people, it could reduce the effect of population momentum and accelerate progress towards having a more normal sex ratio. What does it mean? That we need to sensitize our population in the sense that they should not be worried about population increment. That is, if we talk about current policies of the government, current mindset of the population and the politics, it's like bringing in population bills. You cannot have more than 2 children, you cannot have more than 3 children. We have to make it more like it's not something that has been imposed, but which is a choice. Choice can be given with the help of more education, more literacy, more financial support, not too much need of more helping hands. Okay, let's move forward and talk about our mains-based question. Okay, in the view of the complexity of son meta preference resulting in gender-biased sex selection, government actions need to be supplemented by improving women's status in the society. We have to comment on into 50 words. Okay, so that's it for today. Tomorrow we shall meet again with another segment. Until then, stay updated and thank you so much for watching.